So let me guess. You want to run away and join the circus. You're either A, sick of your current job or school and you see circus as your last resort. B, you're an ex-dancer or ex-gymnast that got inspired by seeing a Cirque du Soleil show. C, you saw The Greatest Showman and you think it would be pretty neat to fly around like Zac Efron and Zendaya. Or D, you're a curious human who wants to know if there are actually people who are crazy enough to make a dedicated career change and run away and join the circus. And the answer is yes. Yes, there are. And I'm one of them. And I'm here to spill the tea on how to do it. But why should you listen to little old me? Well, most circus performers I know either came from a circus family and started doing circus out of the womb, or they started dance and gymnastics when they were a kid and were physically equipped to become circus performers in the future. I, on the other hand, started circus at the old age of 21 with no dance or gymnastics background. And I've done some pretty cool things. I've performed on big stages, taught circus internationally, and worked with Cirque du Soleil. I even got a key card. But how did I go from having no talent and knowing nothing about circus to where I am now? And how can you do it too? Let me tell you my crazy, unconventional story, and I'll give you tips along the way. Like this one. And every person's journey is different, but these are tips from my experience. So let's rewind. I found circus in college at the geriatric age of 21. I was pretty miserable, and accepting that my life would just be doing lab work, I decided to get a hobby. So like every millennial, I went on Instagram and I stumbled upon an aerial class. And I was completely horrible at it. Like, really bad. So that's tip number 1. Suck up your pride, embrace the imperfection, and just get started. Do a quick Google search and find circus studios and schools in your area, book the class, and make the commitment to actually go. And after that first train wreck of a class, I decided I'm gonna get good at this. So I trained. So that's tip number 2. You gotta train, train, train. If you enjoy circus and you're thinking of going into performing, you have to train and hone your craft. And I really hate to break it to you, but that takes years. I have another video where I talk about how much it actually takes to train, and you'd be surprised, it's really pricey. And yes, there are circus schools and clown colleges. Those are real. And that leads me to tip number 3. In order to make it in this industry, you have to go all in. And I don't mean that you have to quit your job or school to go into training, but mentally, you have to prioritize training. For me, that did mean deferring physical therapy school and officially dropping out later on. Oops. And getting virtual jobs that I could do at my own time and remotely, admin jobs at circus studios, and part-time jobs. And when I dropped out of school, I really tore my family up. If you're from an Asian or an immigrant family, you can probably relate to this. My parents came from the Philippines with nothing. They worked really hard to give me a good education so that I could have a good, stable job in the future, preferably as a doctor or a lawyer. And after pursuing that straight and narrow path for 23 years and finally stepping off the path and doing my own thing by dropping out of school and doing circus, I disgraced my family. And the thing is, I completely understood why they were disappointed in me and felt like I was ungrateful. So the only thing I could do was show them why I needed to do this. And it took them years to finally understand and see why. So that's tip number 4. A lot of people you love, won't understand why you want and need to become a circus performer. So you better love and believe in what you do and create. My why will always be to give hope to others that if they have a whole lot of resilience and faith in their dream, they can do the impossible. If someone like me who didn't have a dance or gymnastics background, started at the old age of 21, didn't have any connections in this industry, and had an atypical performer body type and skin color can train and gain the skills to become a performer and somehow manage to get on stage to do what I love to do, then maybe at least one person out there will feel like they can achieve their impossible dream too. Which leads me to my next tip. Tip number 5. If you have the means to, consider going to a circus school or pre-professional program. Both of these types of programs give you the training, tools, and network that you need to get into circus companies in the future. But not only that, you'll find the friends who will lift you up on the days that are hard. Oftentimes, circus schools don't take people who are above the age of 21 or 22. That's just the nature of this industry. So the following tips are what I found that you need in order to apply to companies. So these are like the big banger tips, okay? So listen up. Develop a full-length act in your specialty. A full-length act from one angle with no edits. And make sure it's high-quality footage. If you have 2 full-length acts, definitely send that to companies, especially if you have an aerial act and a ground act. Create a demo reel highlighting your main discipline skills as well as your complementary discipline skills, and try to get high-quality footage for this. Try to use show footage and not training footage. And you might be like, but Noeli, I've never been in a show. Well, I was there too. So I faked it till I made it. I rented out a space in a studio, dimmed the lights and created that moody theater lighting, and hired a videographer. So whenever you're ready to film your skills, make sure to save up beforehand. And make sure to have a resume. Yes, even circus performers have resumes. Include your height, weight, eye color, hair color, which honestly, none of those things should matter. The languages that you speak, and your nationalities. Include your main discipline and any complementary disciplines that you have. Make sure to include your education. So list if you came from a previous sport, how many years were you in it, your level, and any significant accomplishments you had. Make sure to list any circus schools or programs you've been a part of. And if you're self-taught, how many years have you been self-taught? And did you bounce around any circus studios during this time? And finally, on your resume, you have to put your experience. If you're an up-and-coming circus performer and you don't have any show, cabaret, corporate events experience, you might be like, so what am I gonna put there? And I was exactly the same way, so I feel you. So I recommend listing shows that you've been in at your local circus studio. But don't say, so-and-so circus school recital on your resume. That's a no-go. If the show has a name like Nuit de Cirque, that sounds way more professional and attractive. So use that. And if you've never performed recreationally, I recommend reassessing if you're ready to get into the crazy jungle of becoming a professional performer. Performing is a craft that takes time to hone. So if you have the means to, find a circus school or studio that has shows where you can hone the craft of performing. And now that we got that resume nonsense out of the way, make sure to research what type of circus company you want to get into. Contemporary circus or traditional circus? Cabaret and variety shows or an ensemble-driven show? Tent or theater? And then find the gatekeepers of those companies and email them or apply online if they have an application form. And this is controversial, but I just gotta say it. Honestly, social media is the new way of casting and networking. There are so many moments in my career where I just messaged people that I admire and they magically responded. This is how I booked my first teaching workshop out of state, how I got to see behind the scenes at Les Sept Doigts, and how I got to meet my idols. Also, we're in a pandemic, and I've gotten hired for more gigs and future shows this year than any previous year because of my YouTube channel. What? And your Instagram is no longer just a place to put your life. It's your portfolio. I'm not saying to not put your blooper moments on your Instagram because that makes you relatable and human, but I am saying to take your social media presence seriously because it's not going away anytime soon and it is the future of hiring. I personally know directors who keep an eye on Instagram to find new people to cast. So there you go. But the absolute best way to get hired is developing in-person relationships with people you meet on your circus journey. Or Zoom relationships now, I guess. And this means being a good human being and treating everyone with respect and being nice to them no matter what their position is. It means being nice to people in your circus class, your coach, riggers, sound designer, lighting designer, the administration person behind the desk in your local studio. Be kind to everyone because it's the nice thing to do, and because as a past admin person who has had horrible encounters with people, oh, we will forever remember you, Cindy. And once you get the job, doesn't mean you'll keep the job. So my tip to you is to apply and keep applying. Quarterly, I send out emails to all the circus companies so that they know I'm alive, which means keep a spreadsheet of your circus contacts. It comes in handy. And right now we're in a pandemic era, so this is my tip if you want to become a circus performer in this really weird day and age. Keep training, keep creating, keep experimenting, and for right now, learn about videography. Figure out how you can take your act meant for a live audience and bring it into a virtual lens. Virtual shows are here to stay for now, so it's important to find a way to be able to relay your act and your story online. And my final tip, comment down below or send me a DM if you have any questions. And like this video if you enjoyed watching this, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this one. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye!